All right, welcome to the Vitruvian Health warm-up, where we're going to take you through the squat sequence with myself, Karl, and client that cannot perform a squat with a barbell, good thing is you have a dowel that you can put in place of the bar. So there's no excuses to be working on the technique or setup for squatting with a bar. Just obviously the weight will vary. Now, when we perform this warm-up routine, it is for junior and VH trainers that we use this, and we use this for all of our clients that we initiate with. So these are the things to look out for. That's going to open up your hip socket, and the hip itself doesn't just go forward and back, it's a ball and socket, so it explores 360 degrees range of movement. So this is to help prepare you through all of these movements. Now, the first thing you need to do is set the client up, and that'll be Juliani. She'll be our lovely model today. So if you're wondering who's prettier, it's her. So we've set up a rack here, and it's misaligned because you have to set the rack up for the person. So when you're setting the rack up, walk up to it. My recommendation is to look at your chest. So for Juliani, she'd look at where her pecs are. So hand there, where the pecs are. So that is where we're going to set the bar up. So you're going to need to bend the knees again. So if Juliani walks up, so we can see where she is, we're going to have to prop ourselves up, get the bar up, just the height. Whoop. Or she can do it herself. Done. And then she walks up to the bar, and that should be in that position. So her shoulders, the bar should not be above. She shouldn't have to be on her tippy toes. She should be able to just slot herself straight underneath. So can she do it? Go under the bar. And she can place it on her traps. She should be able to set it up into a low bar technique as well, so go under. Yes, she can, and there's still bend in knees. Come out. So the bar setup is great. So what Juliana's going to first do is she's actually going to grab onto the bar, look forward, she's going to leg swing forward and back. So she's going to do 20 reps of each. So forward and back as she works through it. Alrighty, so we're back into this. So Juliana started with the leg swing. One thing to note is you should have a bit of tension in your abs. So you're going to feel the glutes more contract at the back, and there's no need to bend the knees. So keep the legs straight as you move through this. So we're looking at a dynamic warm-up. So we're just dynamically working with our own range of movement. Some of us might be like, oh, it's so tight. Yep, other leg. And what will happen is as we start to do it more and more, it starts to open up. You might not notice too much at the beginning, but when we do it a second time, all right. So Juliana is now going to the second side. What you're going to do is toe in, turn the toe out. Toe in, toe out. Toe in, toe out. And you'll notice this one, there's a little less range here. You should be able to get your leg up to 90 degrees and back down. So Juliana is not quite there yet, but we should be able to open that up very soon. So this involves a little more of the external rotators of the hip, and it does get the glute med involved as well. So if we were to even wanting to challenge ourselves, so if we saw that we're having a bit of trouble to get here, what we could do is pause at the top, back down. Pause at the top, back down. So you're creating resistance and engaging those muscles at the top to put some strength. So over time or over the weeks, you should be able to get up to there about 110. Or if Juliani really wanted, she'd kick me in the head. That's where we want to go. So every time you'd be like, haha, take that. Yeah, interesting. Bit of tightness in these hips, eh? So you can now see there's a difference between the left and right side. Juliani has had some challenges with the left side, yes? Interesting. So I haven't done this with Juliani yet, but obviously we can now start to see that there's some challenges on one side versus the other. So this is already giving us some information just by doing the warm-up. But by her working on this, it should open her up a lot more when squatting. And the exciting thing is Juliani did come in 6 hours ago to do squats, so we'll actually see if they feel better now compared to before, just by doing this warm-up. So the second one is air squats, 20 reps. So toes turned out, arms out in front. Yes, you're squatting with the air. So let's go. Now, for the movement, it should be just smooth and controlled. So it's not like bombing out, dropping out. It's just control down, control up. As the coach, we can look at this and go, does there anything need to be adjusted? And all I would be saying for Juliani is, when she's bending her knees, let herself sit back. So hips sit back a bit, and that's it. Because what was happening at the bottom of her squat, she was just collapsing a little bit with her feet. So she's just rolling in on the arches. Good. I can even use my hand as a guide. So the third toe is where the knee should track out. So her knees should be able to touch the outside of my hand. She hasn't touched them yet. There we go. So that's going to give us some external feedback to push her thighs out a little bit, to open up those hips, to just sit straight down. Because remember, the hip is a ball and socket joint. So if we can push the foot into the ground and really just turn that thigh out, it's going to open our hips so she can just go straight down, straight up. Before, she was just dropping her knees forward. Now she's getting her knees forward and her hips back. Now I can see she's actually overcorrecting herself. So now go 2 more. Let the knees still push forward. Sit. Yeah, that's it. You're sitting back a bit too much now. And you can see that by Giuliani going forward. So hold, let the knees go forward a bit more. There you go. Just subtle, subtle. Right, now let's go into the core complex. So coming onto your hands and knees. So the bird dog. So the first thing to check is with the hands, index finger points forward. So she's going to have to turn her hand out a little bit. Turn your hands out, yep. And then from here, push your hands hard into the floor, pressing your chest up into your back. So the back has a slight roundness through it. That means that she's not winging the scaps. Let your shoulders go down. If she does that, we can actually grab onto her scapula, like we can grab onto that bone. That's not what we want. Push up. That helps to engage the abs and stabilize her shoulders. Now she's going to balance on her right knee, left hand, and reach her right hand forward and extend her left leg out. Let's go. Your other right and left extend. That's okay. We do both sides anyway. So here we can see there's a bit of a caving in the back here. So we're going to keep the abs in tight. And what's happening here is with this leg, Julianne, go. She's lifting her thigh up rather than lower it a little bit. Lower, lower. Push the thigh out. So pull the belly in. Good. Square the hips. Nice. And repeat. So what's happening is you want to feel like your arm and leg are being pulled apart rather than reaching up. So pull and lengthen out. Good. And change sides. Now, go. Now, if you're in the gym and you want to have a partner, Eddie, come here. So if you're walking in the gym and you see someone do this, you should be able to walk over. Go. Yeah, push. And be able to push them lightly and nothing should happen. Why? Because those knees and hands are pushing down onto the ground to stabilize. If you can push them over, they're not actually doing it properly. Cheers. See ya. So yeah, always be ready. Good. Now once we've done 5 each side, Giuliani's now going to go into a side, so a side hover. So we're going to go onto the left elbow. Now Giuliani's going to do the intermediate option because she can. So legs stacked, press up, hips forward, so we're stacked. Shoulder, hip, in line. If we wanted to modify this to make it a bit easier, bend your top leg, placing the foot in front, push the foot down to help push the hips up. A little tool or a tip is as the coach, push down on the hip to cause resistance. Push up, push up, push up, push up, push up, and change sides. So when you're pressing down on the hip, most people think, oh yeah, let my hips drop. The oblique's job and the hips is to lift up. So that's giving assistance to force those muscles to work. So make sure people aren't being lazy. And push up. So Julian's doing a great job. Another thing to look out for is what tends to happen is when they assist, they tend to twist outwards. Don't let that happen. Keep the hips stacked. So we're getting the obliques to work. Then when you've done 15 seconds there, rest, lying on your back. Now we have the McGill Sit Ups. So this is popularized by Stuart McGill, spinal expert. And straighten one leg out and one leg flat. So what you're going to do is fingers in the rib cage, flare the ribs up. So it's a 3-part movement. Pull the chin to the chest and then curl up. That's going to engage the rectus abdominis. Hold for a moment and then back down. The reason why one leg is straight and one leg is bent is to take the hip flexors out of the movement, so you're using your abs. Good. And down. And up. Now, one thing you might be asking is like, well, what if I'm more advanced? What if I want to work out? Well, this is to activate and engage these muscles. But if you are feeling quite confident with this one, what you can do is put the hands on the forehead, flare the elbows up, and then chin in and curl up. So there are rates of progression, and the most advanced one is arms straight above your head. So your ear stays in line with your arm. It doesn't go forward, you're using that to curl up. So you need to really be honest with yourself if you're doing it correctly. Nice. So you'll notice here Giuliani's pausing at the top because again we want to engage those muscles so we can feel those muscles working when we are squatting. Thing to be mindful of is when you squat, you shouldn't be overextending. Your abs should be helping you to lock down lats, pull in tight, so your legs do the squat. If you overextend, you're then going to work into your lumbar. So once that's been done, you're going to come over to the bar, but you can use your pole. So this is why it should already be set up. And you're going to do assisted hip aeroplanes. So what you're doing is balancing the weight on one foot, slight bend of the knee, extend your back leg out. So Giuliani's on her left leg, pushing her right thigh out as far as she can. And now you'll notice, it should pretty much be a straight line. So you can see there's a bit of a curve here. So Giuliani should go a little bit lower with her torso because she's got the mobility in the hip. And then she's going to rotate from the hip as far as she can and then back in. Now go down more, internally rotate, then externally rotate. Now the feedback here is her knee. Bend the knee. The knee should be in line with her third toe. In and out. Now if that knee collapses inwards, it means she's rotating too far and she's compensating from her thigh. So just something to be mindful of. And the good thing is because you're holding on to something, you can actually look down, push down on the foot and then rotate through here. So she's using her eyes. If she can't feel it quite yet, maybe she's not fully warmed up, but you can use your eyes to even give you that feedback that my knee is not in line. Cool, I've rotated too far. If you need to make it easier, bend the knee, that shortens your lever of the thigh, and then rotate the hip. That'll make it a little bit easier for those that are new to this, that are looking for an easier option, just to work on that over time. Now, whilst Giuliani does the other side now, let's do a recap. We've got 20 leg swings, front and lateral, other leg. 20 air squats, core complex, bird dog, side hover, McGill sit up, assisted aeroplanes. That's one total set. So one more time, 20 leg swings, 20 air squats, core complex. You've got 5 bird dogs each side, 15-second minimum hold on the side hover, 5 McGill sit ups each side, 10 assisted aeroplanes each leg. Then once you've done that, do it one more time. And if you're going, oh my God, I'm struggling, that's your workout. So when we're talking about the squat, we've got the base of the foot that we're looking at. So when we set up the squat here, the thing to look for is how is the foot positioned. So you'll see if Giuliani's just relaxed, she collapses in her arches. So what happens then is the knee tracks inwards. And you can't quite see that, so let's bring it up. So you'll notice that where the knee goes, the knee travels with the foot. So if she presses her big toe down and creates this like torquing position, so pushes the big toe down and creates a subtle external rotation, her knees automatically turn out. So relax your feet. And now press the feet down, externally rotate the thighs. So press as we talked about, so this external rotation is here. So she's turning that knee out, so the knee is here. Now relax the feet. Boom, it collapses in, it's now dropped into here. So that's just quite a big shift. So when we're looking at the mechanics of the foot, bring the foot in. So turn the feet in. So you can see that she's collapsed through her ankle. So let's just bring these feet in, turn the feet in. So big toe here. So what we want to see is, so we can actually see a bit of a form of a bunion here. So if she gets her big toe and she presses it into the ground quite firm, and she pushes her pinky toe down and presses hard with the foot here, and then creates that subtle torque, boom, her foot and arch engages. Now what's going to happen is some people can over externally rotate and they start to cave in their foot here, so they're balanced on the arches. So that's not what we want. We want to see this big toe pressing down, and this is known as the tripod foot. Big toe, little toe press down, and then the weight through the heel. So we were pressing down, and we create this subtle torque through the foot, and that whole thigh externally rotates, which is then going to open up the hip as socket as well for when we squat. So when we're looking at the squat, also make sure to watch what the feet are doing. So you've done the squat complex, you finished all of that, and I told you at the beginning that Giuliani had squatted this morning. We noticed that she's a little bit tight on the left side of her hip, and we've just done the warm-up twice. So what we're going to do is get Giuliani to go under the bar now, and she's actually going to do 5 reps. She's going to tell us if she feels better, same, or worse. It's after you. Now when we're watching the squat, there's 2 ways to coach. You can either cue and look at every rep. For Giuliani, I just want to see how she squats, and I'm actually going to give her cues after a set. Unless there's anything that makes me go, holy crap, stop, I'm actually going to let her do the 5 reps, and we're going to talk about what she felt or what she saw. Now when coaching, I didn't quite see the whole picture when I'm standing behind. I can see a bit of a hip shift at about 45 degrees. That tells me that there's something going on with her adductors. Take a step to the side. I can see there's an even break in the knees and hips, but there is a point where her hips stop moving and she's going a little bit into a heel lift. Go 45 degrees again and up. So what I'm seeing here is I probably want to cue that she needs to spread the floor more, so push, sit her hips back and let her torso naturally go forward with her. It's as if she's not letting her torso work with her. So as she's levering, her hips are going back, she's arching a little bit in the back there, and then eventually has to just go forward so she can keep going forward. So what I would do here is I would guide her, tight her abs, hips, work back, soft knees. Yep, no, abs in. Her abs have already gone. Pull your ribs down, pull your shoulders down tighter, pull the lats in and go. Spread, 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 ribs, 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 ribs. See how she has gone forward automatically? That's better. And up. So she's actually not tight enough through her abs and adductors and racket. But, like I said, we're here to just check if the hip was better. So was it the same, better or worse?
It was better.
Ooh!
More flexibility.
Cool.
Sure.
Squat complex for the win. Enjoy.